Welcome to Sober.Coffee, a weekly coffee chat sharing experience, strength, and hope for anyone on the sober road to recovery. You can download Sober.Coffee weekly on all podcast platforms and check us out on Instagram at Sober.Coffee Podcast and on Twitter at Sober.Coffee Pod. To learn more about us and to help support these sessions, visit online at Sober.Coffee. Here are your hosts, two guys on their own path to recovery, Mike and Glenn. Let's join them at the coffee shop.
Good morning, Glenn.
What's up, my brother?
Wow, what a whirlwind!
Oh,
life is a whirlwind, right?
You know what? I'm literally just like doing a quick brain dump, just taking a quick breath. So just full transparency, Mikey and I get in the Sober Coffee Shop, aka Brian Audio Hive Production Studio in Chicagoland, and we do 5 episodes. Right? We start at 6 o'clock. In the morning. You came in hot today. I think your car's still running out in the parking lot.
I might have forgot to
I'm not
turn
sure
it
you
off.
put it apart, right?
Right.
I mean, you're just rolling in, and that's just how kind of life is, right?
Yeah.
And so we jumped right in. We've had 2 amazing sessions.
3, really?
3.
Yeah, we went back to
3.
back to
Oh, my
back.
gosh,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
3 amazing sessions, and just deep and really engaged and just kind of challenging my mental and emotional. And, I mean, we had one that, it was just great stuff, right? And so now I'm almost like taking a breath and say, man, I'm here with my brother Mikey, right? Let's find something to talk about, right?
Right. And so it's funny because you said in the intro, and you're right, it has been a whirlwind, and I love doing these podcasts with you. I wonder if they're making an impact, right? I mean, because that's what it's all about. I'm not doing it for me. We're certainly not doing it for the money.
Nope.
And I don't know who's listening because you can't gauge in the podcast world. You don't really know who's listening. We get some great feedback from people, but, I don't know. I'd like some bad feedback, maybe just to know if someone's listening.
I mean, so first of all, let's just tell ourselves, we don't do this good enough.
Right.
I mean, I think, a common theme of our feedback is you can't find more real people out there in real language, real emotion, communicating about, all things sobriety.
Right.
True. Pro sobriety, right? But, I mean, Brian's awesome, right? He gets us on the air, Brian's awesome. But our social media sucks. Our
we do no marketing.
Emails suck, right?
We do no marketing.
Oh, I'm sitting there thinking, I mean, we just had our summer series, and I'm like, man, if we had somebody to break all those segments out and do all the promo, But sometimes we're not even sure of all the wire. I mean, we know we're big in Bangladesh, but sometimes our counter. I mean, who knows, right?
Who knows?
We're not doing it for that. Our whole goal when you and I sat that first on COVID, right, or just before COVID, or right at COVID. Sure. It was, hey, let's jump on this different way of doing it and help one person.
Right.
And what we've known, if we have done that.
Yeah.
There's probably 2.
So do you find this to be a lot like sponsoring somebody? I mean, there's a lot of elements that go into it. I mean, we're trying to convey the message that we've learned. We do that by augmenting our experience with guest experience. But I think that it's much like having a sponsee. I just want it to grow. I want it to...
So the thing, as soon as you thought that, I probably don't think of it as a sponsee because I think there's a 2-way interaction, personal relationship with a sponsee. I think of it more of a speaker meeting.
That's it. Yep.
I think of it more of a standing in front of a speaker meeting, and we have 67,000 people that are at our speaker meeting, right? Or I think that was the last number I saw, or something like that. So I mean, hey. You know what? Again, we're not doing it for that. We're doing it to help the one person, and we know we have, and we are continuing to hit that goal.
How do we? The one thing, you're Mr. Consistency, right? So you've taught me over the years to be consistent. You told me about this podcast. It's about consistency. Turn the lights on. Come in.
We said that before we launched.
That's right. Do the segment and don't miss a drop.
So we are in the top 10% of podcasts. And the only reason why we're in the top 10 of podcasts is because we've never missed an episode and we have been consistent.
Right.
And we're in the top 10%.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if the content's good or bad.
I mean, there are people that put out amazing podcasts. They put out 12 of them, and then they stop.
Yeah, right.
And we've got, 250, 280, something like that, including bonus drops or whatever. And I mean, it's consistency, but there's a couple things, and as I use two words. You said, "Hey, what do you want to talk about?" I'm like, I don't know. Let's talk about shifting gears.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So that's our two words for this episode is shifting gears.
Right.
But one of the things that I want to recognize about you, and I want to applaud you, is you're a strategic genius and builder. That's what I know about you. Don't look surprised. I mean, that's what I know about you.
I was a destroyer before, so
I was then.
Yes.
This is now. So I see you as a strategic genius and a builder. I see those are your two main strengths. Mm-hmm. But yet at Sober.Coffee, you have done away with those two. And when we started, I was thinking in my mind, you're a strategic genius and a builder. You're going to be awesome to launch. Are you going to be able to maintain and sustain?
Right.
And you've done amazing at maintaining and sustaining. And you've been using your strategic genius, right? And you're building. You deploy those two attributes and competencies in maintaining and sustaining.
Right.
Because you always come with fresh ideas, you're plugged in, you look at things differently, you plug into our guests. It's amazing.
Maintaining and sustaining.
But for 4.5 years, we are past the strategic part.
Yeah.
We're past the building part.
Yeah.
We are in the maintaining and sustaining. And, I wouldn't say we're continuing to grow. We continue to contribute.
Right. I love that.
Not even the flavor of the muffins change.
Yeah, right. I think it's
right. The coffee doesn't change.
It's perspective. Then it really comes back down to perspective. What my projections are, what things should be, don't always land at that same intersection, right? So I might project something to be down the road further, but I land at an intersection that's not only not further, but it's going in a different direction. And it's just learning how to accept those things that, is, I think, the joy of the journey for me.
So did you ever think about when we started that little restaurant table,
right?
Girl in the Park, did you ever think that we'd be here 4.5 years later?
No, I did not think we'd sustain 4 years.
Right.
I thought the pandemic was going to come and go, and I thought that we were going to vapor with the pandemic.
So why do you keep doing this?
Because it's the right thing to do. I wish I had a better answer. It's the right thing to do. It is. It comes with it. It's effort. It's level of effort.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? I mean, this week coordinating, getting people
effort
in the studio and
effort, expense, resources.
Right. But the feedback that I've gotten is the victory for me is when I walk into a meeting and somebody says, "I've got a new sponsee and I've got them listening to your podcast." That's my gas. That's the fuel in my tank. I know I'm doing something right, so therefore this becomes the next right thing to come back and help that sponsee out.
And hey, sometimes, like we just had our summer series with Ryan and Joe on.
Great guys.
I mean, did you see them get engaged? You see them enthused, right? Help their program, right? So, no, I just think I have watched you, and I probably didn't think we'd be on 4.5 years either, right? Because I'm kind of a strategic builder too, right? The mundane wash, rinse, repeat is probably not what I like. I like the excitement, right? But yet, here we are. But as I was thinking, because I have a lot of things in my life today where I'm shifting gears, and I recently was on vacation with my family, and I had the opportunity, renting a manual stick shift car was like $100 for the week, but renting an automatic was like $1,000, right? So my wife looked at me and she goes, "Hey, do you know how to drive a stick?" I'm like, "I did." It's probably like riding a bike, right? And so we got the manual. So all week long, I'm driving around these little tiny roads, with a stick shift, right? I loved it.
Right.
One thing I found out, it's impossible to text and drive a stick shift.
And add coffee, have a cup of coffee in there.
And have a cup of coffee.
Right.
Right. So I started driving better and driving more focused, right? But what I found, and as I was driving, I started thinking about the 12 steps, right? and almost like if you look at 12 steps, 12 gears. It's silly, but I mean, right? But what I learned and reminded myself about driving a manual stick shift car is you're in first gear, right? How do you get to second? You've driven a stick, right?
Sure.
You're old. I'm old.
Got to use
right?
the clutch.
Right. Yeah. But you put the clutch in, and then what do? You pull it out of gear. And then where are you? You're in neutral.
Yeah, you're just kind of
hanging.
Right. Until you engage second gear.
Until you put it in second. Oh. And then sometimes, based on the conditions, you might skip second.
Sure.
Right? And go to third.
Right.
Or
I've
go
done that.
If you're going downhill, you might go to fourth. Right? But you cannot switch gears without finding a level of neutral. You just can't. Right? If you try to give too much from first gear to second gear, if you put your foot in you're going to burn the engine out.
Yeah, right.
You have to shift gears, and you have to come out of first. You got to hit neutral. You got to put the clutch in. So the transmission disengages before you start the new gear. Right?
Now, and the car's in motion.
Car's in motion. Life's in motion.
Yeah, right.
Right? But internally, right, the internal engine, you're shifting gears.
Yeah.
Right? You're in neutral.
Right.
You're out of drive, and you're coasting until you find the next gear. Right? Sometimes it's real quick, boom, boom.
Yep.
Sometimes you can take your time, right? And lag it.
Right.
But, I mean, it takes a bit, right? So I started to relate that to sobriety, right? Like the first year of sobriety, you're in first gear, right? And drudgery, right? I mean, some of those days I can think back and remember when I talk to people, there are days I went to bed at 4 o'clock, in the first 2 years, just so I could end that day sober, and I would go to 3 meetings a day or 4 meetings a day just so I could stay in a sober, healthy environment, positive environment, right? Keep me away from the gates of hell, right?
Now, I love first gear because the engine was just going. It was like, I was just getting it going. I was eager.
Well, it's better than the engine not being on.
That's right. I was eager to get things moving because I wanted to get away from where I was so badly that I loved the grind of that first gear, right? Because first gear makes probably more noise than any of the other gears, but it needed to make noise for me to get away from where I was.
So then. And right now I'm shifting gears in my life in quite a number of ways, right? And I don't know if it's, fifth gear to sixth gear. I don't know. I don't really care. But what I'm realizing, like I have a business project and I'm out of, I'm out of drive and it's taken 2 months to kind of be in that neutral and, but now I have found that next gear and I'm looking back to my results from 2 months ago and I'm 4X those results, right? But in the last 2 months, I've been doing all the work in neutral, right? Sure. And now it's in the other gear, and I just looked last night, and I'm like, man, I'm 4X that, right? But you have to go through that neutral. You got to be able to sit in that neutrality and say, I'm okay with this, right? Because I know what I'm building, I know what's coming, I know what I'm preparing for. Right. But I think in sobriety, there's a lot of different gears, And that's why I really believe in this program that you work with a sponsor, you work with the big book, you work with the steps, right? You don't go from first step to ninth step.
You've said that from the beginning.
Yeah,
don't be apologizing to Aunt Jane before your third meeting.
Right. If I'm in first gear and I put it in ninth gear, car clonks out.
Right. Yeah. Right. Sure,
it does. Right. So the gears are in reason, progression. Love that, right? But I think you need a coach, right? You need the driver's ed coach. You need a sponsor to help you go through those gears and give you guidance, because a lot of times, you're focused on the gears, you're missing what's going on around you. Right. A sponsor can say, "Hey, don't forget, pay attention to that deer that's getting ready to cross the road." Right.
Right.
So I'm finding myself, but what. The one tool, I guess is the best way to put it, that I'm using now is I'm shifting gears in a lot of different ways, right? I got a AA project 2 months ago. I thought of this, doing that Rooted program, right? And 2 months ago, so I already go to Monday night meetings. Our church
spiritual
group,
meeting.
Yeah, we call it the Rhino group. 20 some guys, are part of that. And so I go to that. That's one night a week, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm traveling 2-3 nights a week,
Right.
So now I've got this opportunity to do Rooted, which is a 10-week spiritual program. We've actually done a series on it on our sister podcast,
Right. As we understand
God as We Understand Him. It just walks through kind of the whole God thing.
Yeah.
I think AA, if you read how it works, there's 17 references to God, right? He, him, God, higher power, right? But I don't think AA does a phenomenal job at explaining what God is, right? So we did that series kind of extending that and sharing our learnings and our exploration and our curiosities and questions and uncertainties and certainties, right? So this is a 10-week program. So I've done it before. I'm like 2 months ago, I'm like getting a nudge from God, from the universe, from whatever. It's like, hey, man, Rooted's coming up again. You should get in the chair and do it again for AA guys. Like, there's so much value in that, and we've seen so much change in other people's lives. I'm getting a nudge. So the first 2 weeks of the nudge, I'm like, that's not a nudge. That's indigestion, right?
He's not smiling. He has gas.
Right. I have gas, right? I mean, I'm like, don't listen to that shit, right? But that's the opposite side of the universe, right? It's like, Glenn, you're busy. You're already overcommitted. You don't have time. You don't have the bandwidth, whatever word you want to use. Do it next time.
Easy excuses.
Do it next time.
They're legitimate.
Yeah, do it next time.
Sure.
They'll do it in January.
Right.
They'll do it in January again, or they'll do it in March next year, whatever. Do it next time. But I kept feeling the nudge. And what I've learned to do in sobriety is listen to the nudge. Mm-hmm. And so I sat there and I said, okay, I'll do it, right? And now it's like nobody's going to sign up, right? So I was like, there's a guy in our Rhino group who, is really learning and growing, and he has the yearn to learn and grow and do. So I'm like, hey, bro, you want to lead this with me? Like, you're not even in AA, but
right.
You want to lead this with me? A bunch of drunks, and he goes, love to. He goes, I don't want to. I'm not even going to think about it. I'm doing it.
Okay.
Right? I'm like, well, that's me.
Yeah.
Right. So a week and a half ago, we had 2 guys sign up, and he's looking at me saying, putting his hands out. I'm like, dude, don't sweat it, man. Just have faith.
Mm-hmm.
We're nudged for a reason, right? We're given resources and talents for a reason that we've raised up and said, hey, we're going to do it.
Yeah.
Right? It'll work. So now it's coming up next week. We have 12 guys.
12 guys.
12 guys. I mean, they were lining up like the planes at O'Hare.
Yeah.
Boom, the registrations were coming in, right? And it's a really good mix. It's like, we probably have 4 guys with long sobriety, quality sobriety. We have probably 4 that are really in dire, critical space, right? The early stage, trying to find first gear, right? Or maybe just found first gear. Now what do I do? My car's rolling. What the crap, right? And then we probably have 4 that are in between somewhere, second or third gear. So we have a really, really cool mix. And what I'm reminded is it has nothing to do with us, man. We just turn the lights on and let it work,
right?
But there's I'm kind of in shifting mode in a lot of areas of my life. And the one tool that I use most is faith. Mm-hmm. And it's I'm almost questioning myself. Am I being overconfident with my faith? Right? And I don't know how that works. Mm-hmm. So maybe I am, maybe I'm not. But I just have enough proof at this time that if you do the right thing and you really believe that, and I do, and I get enough outside insight that this time of ambiguity or confusion or uncertainty, I just know I'm going to get through it. Mm-hmm. And I know it's going to figure itself out, regardless of what area of my life it is.
So let me ask you this. There's 26 things you do daily, weekly, monthly for your sobriety.
Yep.
Now it sounds to me like there might be 27. I'm not being soft with that. My question to you is, how often, so are all the 26 things you do daily, weekly, monthly for your sobriety, do they change? So this is something new now that you're doing, and I would suggest for your spiritual growth, but for sobriety as well. Is it in fact 27?
No, because that's embedded. So what I do is, one of the 26 things I do is, get involved, right? Whether it be chairing a meeting, whether it be, speaking at a speaker meeting, whether it be speaking online.
This is you being involved.
Yeah,
You being
sharing the
involved.
message.
Right, gotcha.
So that's probably
Okay.
sharing the message.
Okay.
So it's one of those things, right? But I do stuff like that regularly, right? So a podcast is sharing the message, but podcast actually has a separate category.
So when you're neutral for that nanosecond, sometimes longer, you feel confident because you're still moving forward, and those things are still happening. Even when you're neutral, you don't feel that you're. I mean, do you feel the momentum, or are those neutral places where for a quick second you feel like you're just not you're not accelerating?
No, so first of all, I would, when I'm driving, you clearly, as you're trying to get somewhere, you clearly laying up in neutral for a second or two, right? But some of my life neutrals, like that business situation, was 60 days.
Right.
So it wasn't a second. It was 60 days, and I got people from the outside looking and pushing and questioning, and I'm like, we have to shift gears, right? Like we had trained 12 new people. Well, you have to pull the 4 people that are mining gold today. You got to pull them off the mining gold line to train the 10. So you're purposefully you have a plan. You know what you're doing, right? And so sometimes, sometimes a deer comes out and you slam your foot on the brakes,
Right.
So you're at a dead stop,
Right.
So there's no momentum, right? So it's like, okay, now I'm sitting here in neutral because I'm not sure what gear to put it in, right? Or now I got to go back to first gear and put it in first gear. So it's not always forward momentum. It's like somebody in the meeting years ago.
Love that.
You were in the meeting and she was complaining, life is, 3 steps forward, 2 steps back, and I can't handle it, and I can't handle it, and I can't handle it. So I rarely crosstalk, but I jumped in and I'm like, I don't know, but in my mind, that's still progress.
Right, sure.
Right. So, I mean, stuff's going to happen, but it's almost like, I'm almost cautioning myself on how confident I am that this stuff works. Right. And I'm okay. I'm actually embracing the ambiguity, knowing I've got to go through this before I get to the next gate.
Right.
Before I get to the next gear, you have to hit neutral before you shift gear. I can't be frustrated that we're neutral, right?
I love that.
I just can't. And it's through a lot of different stages. Like, I'm like, and the thought, I just got chills, which, means I just feel it. And it's like the time I invited, all our group for a barbecue, right, to my house. And nobody responded. I mean, that's hard, right? That's shifting. That's feeling crappy and shifting gears, right? I'm like, hey, I'm going to step up and I'm going to, work. I'm going to drive some connectivity with our group, right?
Yep.
Hey, guys, Jen's out of town. Let's have a barbecue. Crickets. Right? So your first reaction is they don't like you. They don't see value in coming over. Your food must suck. But reality, everybody was busy. Last minute, everybody was busy. Had nothing to do with me, right? So a week and a half ago, I'm like, did you misread the nudge?
Yeah.
Right? I'm not saying that 2 guys aren't worth having it for, right? I'm not saying that. Maybe that could have been an amazing group.
Right.
But I was okay, and I was accepting that word acceptance. I was like, hey, man, I'm like, God, dude, if that's what you want, 2 guys, then give it our best, man. We'll have a group of 4. We'll serve these 2 guys, right?
I got 12.
But I said, dude, whatever you want, man. We will serve however many you want. It's not the numbers, it's the impact. And then all of a sudden, literally in 2 days, we had 12.
Wow.
So it's just...
As a friend of mine says, it's funny how things work out this way.
I don't know, man. But, it's really hard. And in sobriety, going through those steps, you will feel the gear shifts. Yeah. You will feel the times when I'm going, especially, step 5. Yeah. Now what?
Yeah, now what?
Or I love this one. I connected with a guy this week. He is absolutely ready to give up, out of his mind, ready to give up. You know why? Because one of his 9 steps didn't work out. And what I mean it didn't work out, first of all, he was doing his 9th step the wrong way.
Mm-hmm.
He was doing his 9th step to feel the forgiveness,
Right.
to feel absolved from what he did, right? To be forgiven, and he wanted the clean slate, and he wanted all that. And I'm like, dude, that is not what that might happen,
Right.
but that's not what the 9th step's about.
Right.
The 9th step's about is you being genuine, making your amends, say, Mikey, I will do whatever I have to do to make this right between us.
Right.
I'm looking back, I'm reflecting, man, it's really bothering me. I realize I did you wrong. I'm sorry. I'm like, you are not responsible for their response.
Right. That's right.
And he said, this sucks, this doesn't work. I'm like, no. Dude, you're missing it, right? Let's go back and read the 9th step.
Yeah.
Nowhere in there is a success of your 9th step based on
That's right.
based on their response. They could punch you in the face, and you could still have an amazingly successful 9th step.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's, as you shift gears through the steps, right? The 5th step, there's a big emotional, right, letdown, and then it's like, oh, wait, man, I'm not even halfway through.
Yeah. Right.
Right? But then the promises say you'll be amazed before you're halfway through.
Right.
Right?
That's right.
And so that's kind of at the end of the 5th step. So I don't know. You have a lot going on. You've been trying to change gears on a couple things. And
I have, and it's not changing direction, but like you said, changing gear. And I guess I fought with that for a bit. Am I changing direction? My program doesn't look exactly like it did 6 years ago, right? But yet I'm still moving. I'm progressing.
does that mean you're growing?
Absolutely.
It's more quality, less quantity?
Yes, and it shifted because the same thing you talked about. There's a lot of my spiritual realm that I needed to work on, and so I've had this opportunity to focus less on the basic, let's say, call it what it is. Going to a meeting, I could be progressing in my spiritual journey in that hour, hanging with a bunch of church guys, right?
Mm-hmm.
So am I still going to the same amount of meetings? No. Am I progressing in my overall journey? Absolutely. And
I love that.
I feel good about that. But it's weird because you're weird. You've been in first gear for so long. You've heard that car screaming. Now you're in second gear. The RPMs are coming down a little bit. The car's not screaming. You're going a little faster even, but you've got this confidence because you've got full motion behind you.
So, I had somebody recently come up to me. I loved it. They're like, man, your program must be weak. I used to see all the time in meetings. Now I rarely see you. Mm-hmm. I went from 10 meetings a week to 2.
Sure.
And I'm like, wow, you're really paying attention to my life,
Yeah, right.
my sobriety that much, man. Thanks. I just love how people work. But I'm like, dude, you have no idea what I do.
Right.
Like I could go to meetings and pay lists, and you wouldn't know.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
And but that's price of being a fixture, I guess. But I'll tell you what, and I really believe this, and I'm not just smoking my own juice, is I get more out of those 2 meetings a week.
Sure.
I get out and give more of those 2 meetings a week
Right.
than the 10.
Then yeah. Right.
I mean, I just do, and I'm more purposeful when I go in. I'm more focused. I'm not just checking a box,
Right.
which is probably what I was doing with the 10.
Right.
But, I mean, I think podcasting for 4 hours on a Saturday,
It's doing something.
I think that's doing some sobriety work. I
Yep,
think,
yep.
3 hours of our Rhino meetings on Monday nights, that's sobriety work. I think 3 hours for 10 weeks on the Thursday nights with our new AA rooted group, I think that's work.
Yeah. Right.
I think being on TikTok and whatever we do, I think that's focused and investing
Right.
in sobriety. But there's a lot of different gears, and
There's
I'm
a lot
not
of
sure what
different
gear I'm in. Do you know what gear you're in?
I really don't. I want to feel like I still got a long way to go. I want
But
to
you're
feel
not
like I'm in the. No, I'm absolutely
Right.
in gear. But I feel like I'm in the lower level of the gears because I still feel the RPMs.
That's your strategic builder in you, brother.
Yeah, it's
I
that
love
adrenaline.
That. I love that.
It's
I get
just,
so excited.
I love the adrenaline of life. I mean, the natural raw adrenaline. Hey, this has been good.
Yeah, it's been really good. I like what you said. Don't know how much to go, and it's funny. I probably 5 years ago thought I was in the top gear.
Yeah.
and that is so long ago. And I found so many more gears. And I just think if you're in the room where it happens, man, you stay in the pool, you keep learning, you keep growing, opportunities come.
That's right.
I really believe that. So let's shift gears, man. Let's endure the neutral.
Yep.
As we shift to the higher ones, man. I love you.
Love that, man.
All right,
See you next week.
See you, man.
Thanks for joining us for today's coffee chat. To contact the show, email us at podcast@sober.coffee. If you need immediate help, the AA hotline is 800-839-1686. The National Suicide Prevention Hotline is 800-273-8255. Remember, Mike and Glenn are sharing their own journey on the path to recovery. Any suggestions, medical or otherwise, are their own experiences and should not be viewed as professional advice. See you next week, and remember, there is a solution.